Assalamu alaikum. This is Mohammed Jamil. I'm the product marketing in Omniful, and welcome to our first webinar. Today, we will talk about the Saudi National Day, especially how to master operations. So I will just kickstart now the webinar. And we have here our dear guest, Obaida Kiswani. He is the Enterprise Consultant at Omniful, and he will take us through how can we handle and take control over the peaks that happens in peak seasons and also in Saudi National Day, as it's like the upcoming event. So today we'll talk about how can you handle the peaks of and the chaos of operations that happens in peak seasons and in Saudi National Day. Welcome, Ubaida. So thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mohammed Jamil, for the amazing introduction. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's a proud moment, to be honest, the 95th anniversary for the Saudi nation and the National Day coming up. It's always this festive feeling that we take upon, and we are proud together for what we have done so far and what's coming, inshallah, in the upcoming years. So thank you all for joining, and today we'll dive deep in terms of what happens in peak seasons, just like Saudi National Day. If you're a retailer, if you're a shipping company, you have a fulfillment center, and even if you're a consumer, what to expect for other businesses and what they go through in terms of challenges so they can deliver the items to your doorstep. So usually in peak seasons, we can see more or less multiples of orders to be spiked in a short period of time, as this creates a huge backlog, especially if you have a very, let's say, fragile operation. Whenever you have a huge number of orders that's being pumped into your system, you may not be able to manage it all at once in a seamless manner. At the same time, especially in our day and age, today it's not only one sales channel that you're managing. You have a store, you have multiple clients, you have multiple brands, you have marketplaces and different sales channels. So overall, it will be a hassle to manage such changes with the multiple of orders that we have today. Now, at the same time, you want to have a better customer experience. So you don't want to oversell and be issuing refunds because you're not able to fulfill such orders. At the same time, the warehouse would be full of errors and delays because of more or less the high demand and the high seasonality of the orders that's coming in through the peak seasons. All right, so today we'll cover how businesses can take back control whenever there is peak seasons and really double down on the investment of such customer experience and at the same time the operational excellence that you may have under your operations, whether that's warehouses, whether that's with shipping companies, so on and so forth, retailers and fulfillment and 3PLs. So number one, I believe, which is the fragmentation part of it, is that you have multiple sales channels that are integrated into your ecosystem. So for example, if I sell on Shopify, Sell Z, I may be even selling on Amazon, Noon, Jahaz, and other stores. Now, if the first simple metric to be able to see all the orders that I need to fulfill under one screen, that would give me a lot of comfort and confidence that I will deliver on my promise on every single order that comes in through the system, right? Now, at the same time, I call this step zero, right? So being able to have the visibility across your stocks and quantities and SKUs, and especially if you have multiple locations, we're talking about warehouses, branches, and so on, and updating the different sales channels that you are integrated with. This is called step zero, right? So whatever quality of customer experience would be, for example, if I'm opening a store of brand X and I see a couple of different items and I order one and it says in stock, I should have the confidence that it is actually in stock, right? And we all maybe went through a couple of experiences where you order something and then after an hour, you just get a refund. Why? There's no stock. Why isn't there any stock? There wasn't an update in the system to update the stock and the transactions. Now, this happens to be a very major kind of issue, especially when you have multiple sales channels. So imagine if you have 5 across and you need to update manually every single inventory, especially in the peak season kind of situation. Now, at the same time, when you have multiple locations, you want a way which is easier on your operation stack to automate the order routing and optimization. So for example, if you have a location in, let's say, Riyadh, another location in Jeddah, another location in Dammam, you want to be able to automate such orders automatically. So every single team member that you have in your operation can know exactly what they should do. And this is done on an automatic basis. You have the inventory and you have specific rules that you can do. Now, third of all, and the most important thing, we need to think of the warehouse as if it's a factory. Okay, it's a production line. So the more orders that you fulfill in a day, the less and less cost that will be in your each delivered order, right? So we don't want to minimize the number of orders. We want to maximize the number of orders with the least amount of team members. So this is also something that you need to take in consideration, the speed of fulfillment that you have currently in your warehouse. So what we promised here at Omniful and what we have helped multiple enterprises today is, rather than having fragmentation, different platforms, different systems, you have a unified solution to include all your control and your operation on the one place. So basically you turn your operation to a growth engine that increases your customer excellence and operational excellence to scale up to the dreams that you have for your business. Because after all, anyone who opens a business, their goal is to scale and grow. So what are the main, let's say, pain points back again? So under the orders, we do have multi-channel chaos. So if you have 3 channels, 4 channels, 5 channels, imagine you are a 3PL with 100 clients, right? So what will be the nightmare to be able to manage such orders with fragmentation? The warehouses, if you have specific bottlenecks, how you actually specify and configure the warehouse, different zones, different locations, the bins, the aisles, the barcoding of all the details around, across the warehouses and locations. And then you come for delivery. So do you do it in a fleet? Are you a shipping company who have their own fleet? Do you have shipping apps and shipping companies that you're integrated with? And also, when you want to replenish your stores, your branches, which is the offline sales. Today, by the way, 25% of all sales are e-commerce sales, especially in the MENA region, and 75% is retail-based. So are you being able to fulfill and replenish your branches on basis of the demand that's coming up in peak seasons? This is where supply chain management, supply chain planning, and all those details and data analytics and business intelligence comes into play, especially when you have this one unified solution. All right, so let's kind of give you more onto what exactly is creating this challenge, right? So in the orders, when you manage isolated sales channels, you'll have different screens, right? So imagine I'm the warehouse manager and I'm responsible of fulfilling the order. So I have Sella in one screen, I have Amazon in another screen, I have Noon in another screen. So I'm trying to multitask throughout a different day whenever new orders comes in. So this becomes more or less a bottleneck. Number one, because it's manual. And number two, it's maybe manual and human errors to forget some orders. Now, obviously, with brands using Noon, SellerFlex, and Amazon SellerFlex, and different marketplaces, and even your own brands, you have an SLA, right? You do have a promise for the end consumer that you will fulfill their orders in 2 days, 1 day, same day, bullet delivery. So time is really of essence, right? Now, even with delayed and manual stock updates, this will cause a backlog of orders that may not be able to fulfill because of the stock that's currently available in the warehouse. So, for example, I have same case, one warehouse with multiple sales channels and marketplaces. If, for example, there's a stock out of item X on Sella, I need to also push this update to Amazon, right? And even if you have multiple kind of domains or different brands at the same time. So this may cause a lot of customer experience kind of inefficiencies. And at the same time, you may lose sales if there is stock and it says out of stock on your website or on your channel, basically. Now, at the same time, there is a lot of time could be wasted on manual order routing, especially if you have multiple locations. You want this fast, easy, based on optimization rules, inventory rule, location basis, maybe even delivery zones if you have dark stores. So dark stores are having a promise to be delivering orders in less than 60 minutes. So to be able to do all of that, you should have a system that allows you to develop such operations. Now, obviously, one of the main key pain points, even for a customer and consumer, is refunds after checkout because you oversold, right? So it's not always a fun experience for end consumers if you put your shoes into their place of ordering something, they're having a high expectation, you've spent a lot in marketing and building your brand, and after all, oops, I don't have stock, right? All right, so let me go over a very simple showcase for Omniful solution in terms of how we actually solve such challenges. So in terms of the order management, the first step are your order sources. So we're talking about retail and we're talking about fulfillment centers or 3PLs and shipping companies, how you can integrate your channels currently in one place, plug and play solution. I love plug and play solutions. It makes life way easier. You can literally implement in the same day rather than waiting weeks and months in terms of development. You have it right there, right on once you create your account with Omniful's team. So today we have over 13 sales channels, local and international, that are already integrated with Omniful. So what you can do is add those stores one by one and even specify the exact details that you need in each of these stores, right? So first of all, no need for manual entry again for SKUs. You can pull the catalog, add the SKUs, add the quantities, inbound the material, all in one place. Second of all, you can automatically push orders based on a specific status from your own sales channel. And at the same time, be able to two-way sync the order statuses from Omniful to your sales channel of choice. Third of all, which is very, very important, especially for peak seasons, is the auto sync of inventory whenever you have an inbound, whenever you have an outbound. Now, obviously, inbound, we're talking about more stock that comes in to a specific location, and outbound is any type of order that deducts from your inventory, whether that's offline through your own POS stores, you want to deduct the amount in terms of the branch, or it's a B2B order, for example. You can also manage those manual orders under Omniful or just update Omniful through the APIs that we have today available. Now, on the other point, you'd also have, or maybe even not have, specific marketplaces because of this technical gap. Today, if you have a Shopify store and you want to integrate to over 5 different marketplaces with their own user base who trust them or buy from them or like a daily kind of consumers, you can now unlock this with Omniful. So Omniful actually not only enables you to operate efficiently, it makes you more money with unlocking those marketplaces in one place. And at the same time, you also have open APIs whenever you have a specific customized application. Some marketplaces are using Omniful to manage their vendors. Some other use cases, very, very unique use cases, are actually utilizing Omniful for its supply chain capabilities. So this is the first step for the sales channel integration. And the second step is to integrate your current shipping partners. Either you're a fulfillment partner who wants to integrate multiple accounts for different sellers, or you're one brand and you need to integrate specific shipping companies. Today, Omniful is proud to have over 120 shipping companies that are already integrated. And we're not talking about only shipping companies. We also have fulfillment centers. So even if you run your operations based on 3PLs who fulfill, which store your items and delivers them, you can also be able to manage all their SLAs, all their orders, and even the auto hub routing. So for example, if I have a 3PL who's responsible of bullet delivery services in Riyadh, right? And I have one who's responsible for cross-city, intercity, and cross-country shipping, I would be able to split the orders on basis of the automation rule of the location and the inventory available in these 3PL partners, especially if they're using Omniful-powered WMS solutions. So it's basically an end-to-end kind of solution that you have. The 3PL and the shipping company have Omniful to run their operations, which is under the best methodologies for picking and fulfillment and the best highest efficiency. And at the same time, you can now open up new countries, literally new countries and new markets while you are based in a specific country. We have seen a lot of examples, especially in Kuwait, expanding to Saudi, Qatar, Oman, UAE, expanding to Saudi, and vice versa, where you can manage everything under one place, even for the multinational and multi-country brands. Right, great. Now, we also have one thing that we talk about a lot, especially that it reduces the manual efforts when it comes to hub routing, when it comes to filtering specific orders, even having this sort of automation on demand, right? It's the flexibility that you get in our system that gives you the power to manage whatever kind of complex case that you have. So first of all is the automation rules to automate the hub routing. So today, if you're a fulfillment center, retailer, you have branches, you have warehouses, you have dark stores, you have multiple locations, you can create specific rules with different conditions, over 20 today, and even customize those conditions to do specific actions. And those actions would help you a lot to optimize where should the order be assigned for the best experience for the end consumer and the cost-effective kind of methodologies that you can develop, which is choosing the nearest location of the customer to the location that could be assigned, or forcefully routed to a specific location if you have an SKU or a specific seller or a specific customer who's always storing those items in a specific hub, routed to any hub with inventory, and then finally you can consider delivery zones of hub. And obviously, those rules can be cascaded across different priorities with different kind of sets of rules. For example, cross-country would be very different than intercity. Intracity would be very different than hyperlocal, which is bullet delivery or less than 30 minutes. So you can specify each rule with the priority of the rules and the different statuses or conditions that you can select throughout the way. Now, over that, you can add even more kind of automation when it comes to managing the orders and filtering the orders based on the tags. We call them tags. And those tags actually allow you to manually have specific set of conditions and tag those orders with those conditions. And a very, very famous example would be, for example, if your average order is 1,000 riyal, whatever that's over 2,000 riyal, that would be considered a VIP client, right? So I can just enter VIP customer and just select if the order total is over 2,000 riyal, just tag this automatically once it comes through the system. So this is a lot of flexibility with very, very minimal configuration, right? And obviously, whenever you're with Omniful, you always have some type of support, either from account managers or implementation engineers, who are also consultants in the space to help you manage even very complex scenarios. All right. Now, obviously, once you now see the orders, you can see the different orders in the different stages. You'd see live orders with different locations. You can select a specific location to see all the assigned orders in that place. Whatever action that needs to be approved, either insufficient inventory, or you can automate specific approval cycles like COD orders and so on. You can always see them under pending actions, and you can add an admin user who will be able to always see this beforehand to either assign to a specific hub, create a manual stock transfer order, and very soon you will have this automated. So sink in, get into the train right now so you can actually get the best out of supply chain management. And also you can create manual orders, whether that's bulk through an Excel sheet or through single B2C or B2B or even stock transfer action. All right. And once you see all your shipments, all your forward shipments, you can check all the different statuses under one single dashboard for any forward shipments. And you can manually even track any airway bill with a specific shipping partner that you have integrated with. Amazing. All right.
So let's go through the warehouses. Do we have, or what's actually the key challenges and pain points in fulfillment? What's the bottlenecks and so on? Walk us through the warehouses operations.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Jamil. All right, so warehouses, whenever you have this huge volume, imagine like normally you'd get 1,000 orders per day. Now we give you 10,000 orders in the same 24 hours and the same amount of team. So this is where a shock happens across the operation. You're shocked, like there's 10,000 orders. I usually get 1,000. What should I do? What's the scenario? It's like a fight or flight kind of mode. So this gives you a huge shock to the system and to the operational process, where sometimes it freezes the operation from doing its job in a correct fashion and manner. So this is one of the main challenges that happens in peak seasons. Also, over that, whenever you have a specific configuration of location-based inventory in your warehouse, or if you don't have such in place, you'd find a very, very slow kind of bottlenecked picking and packing and fulfillment kind of operation, right? They feel they're under pressure. They need to fulfill the orders. The orders have SLAs. The customers would not be happy if they don't get it in time. If they're not happy, I lose business. I'm going to close the company. A lot of pressure is being placed on their operation to make sure that they're always fulfilling the orders in time and quickly, right? And another thing that happens usually in such times, you hire extra labor. And the con about this is that those extra laborers may not be the experts and professionals in the field to understand your different products, your different sizes. If you have, let's say, 20,000 SKUs, you won't really have this type of governance and QC, quality assurance, throughout the way whenever you hire new people. And obviously, without the right QC in place, you'd have a huge hidden cost in comparison to companies who actually do the QC analysis and the QC steps correctly. And very simple, let's say, mathematical kind of example would be, imagine you have 1,000 orders per month. And from these 1,000, if you do manual operations, usually the industry benchmark is between 5 to 15% of mistakes with fulfillment, which can overdue 2 extra trips for shipping companies if you want to return and refund the customer, and a sad customer, right? So imagine if a very simple kind of calculation, from 1,000, you get 5%, that means 50 times 30, that's 1,500 riyals of hidden cost, other than the lost revenue that could be harmed by the customer. So those are the main pains that we're talking about today in terms of the warehousing kind of part, or dark stores, or even retail stores in terms of fulfilling. Let's jump in directly and showcase what exactly are we talking about today in terms of Omniful. So first of all, you can add unlimited number of locations and hubs. You can specify delivery zones for such locations. And the beauty of delivery zones, this is where you can get the absolute kind of settings and managing the exact orders with the promise that you have. So for example, if you have dark stores, you can specify specific ETA, or you can specify a custom map that you can cover in specific cities. If you have multiple locations, you can also go in very minute details and even select an ETA-based delivery zone, which is beautiful. It's always when they open it up, it's like a beautiful thing that shows on the map, right? So this is based on real-time traffic data to the actual roads that are accessible by a vehicle to be delivered to the end consumer. So imagine you can really go very down deep in terms of your SLA and your operational process, to the point that you only accept the serving radius on multiple locations based on the promise that you promised your end consumer. And this is where competitive advantage comes into play. Now, at the same time, a very, very nice kind of situation happens usually in peak seasons. Sometimes in peak hours in the day, you'd have a smaller delivery zone. In non-peak hours of the day, you can have a bigger delivery zone. So each location can cover even more area in specific time of the day and of the week. So you can also specify that very simply in our system today. All right, so let's go through how to create a hub in terms of Omniful and what exactly will we look into, right? So we're talking about warehousing, dark store, and branch operations. So let's do a quick test here. You can add a specific hub code, and this hub code is very useful whenever you have an accounting system, because Omniful does all the activity-based operational steps. We maximize what's not there in terms of record keeping on your ERP. We update the ERP, but we are not an accounting system. We are more than that. We give you the exact activity where you can actually have very accurate details. Today, Omniful actually empowers over 100 enterprises with 99% level of inventory accuracy. Right? Imagine having this power whenever you do demand forecasting, whenever you want to buy new inventory, whenever you can, push the supplier with a specific price, and so on and so forth. Now, you can select multiple hub types, and those hub types would actually change in terms of your configuration when it comes to your displays, when it comes to your operational model for your order fulfillment. Warehouses can have back storage, they can have picking area, consolidation area, big zones, big warehouses, multiple zones. So warehouses are more or less kind of the flexible kind of location where mainly if it's a warehouse, it's large in consideration to a branch. So this is more or less a warehouse. Now, dark stores are a bit different where they are specially designed to fulfill orders very quickly and they're replenished multiple times in a day. So usually you'd see dark stores inside cities, not outside cities in the suburbs. So warehouses usually are outside city and dark stores are in between different districts to be able to deliver such quick orders. Imagine them as if they're a branch, but a closed off branch for non-walk-in clients. So it's not a branch that you can go in and buy stuff. It's a branch that's closed off, but the operation team comes in and they fulfill the orders on a daily basis. And obviously we've got the normal retail branch, which is a walk-in kind of retail branch where you can utilize both the offline aspect and maximize your online reach if you have your own branches today. So let's give an example for a warehouse and let's call this OWH1. All right, let's put some stakeholders here. And let's add Omniful. By the way, you're more than welcome to visit us at any time in our office here at Anas bin Malik. Now, directly you can select your time zone. Obviously, we are in 20 different countries today. So Omniful actually provides you with multi-locale and multi-country, multinational operation under one place, especially for group holdings and companies that are looking to expand from Saudi to the world. This is where you can utilize our system in a very specific manner. Now, obviously, you can select specific shifts. You can specify different shifts based on the timings, the opening and the closing. Just for simple purposes, I'm going to create a 24-hour shift, and I'll keep all days to be open. All right, so right now we do have a very simple guided screen where you can see the one-time configurations for that specific location, which creates specific modules that will not be available unless you check specific boxes, right? So you do have two questions you need to ask yourself before you start the configuration. Obviously, the engineer that you will have with you from Omniful will help you out with this, but also just food for thought. If your warehouse has racks, aisles, shelves, and bins, this is where you need to track the locations and to be having a location-based inventory rather than a location or hub-based, we call it hub-based inventory. You would pick this item. This configuration would allow you to scan that specific location, which is the rack, aisle, shelf, and bin, to know exactly how many SKUs are there. So if you want to track it, you can track it through this configuration. The next step is to keep bins and pallets enabled in this hub. So bins are considered either in a specific location or could be used in carts. So carts can have multiple bins where it will allow you for multi-order picking. Right? This is where we come in to how we actually maximize the team and utilization that you have in your warehouse and even the space and time for travel for each of the orders to be picked. So in this case, I'm going to enable it. Now, at the same time, this is mainly talking about, let's say, pharmaceuticals, food, kind of canned foods. This is something that's really important, especially when you actually sell to customers who have a specific SFDA or some type of, let's say, near expiry items. So items that can expire in a year, 2 years, 3 months, 2 months, so on and so forth. This is where you can disallow selling and picking for available inventory that are near expiry. Obviously, you can specify the near expiry intervals for each of the items and SKUs that you have today. All right, so now we've finished the one-time configurations. We can go into how you inbound your warehouse, for example, or dark store. So first of all, we call this more or less a gate entry. So gate entries is whenever you have an ASN or a PO, which you know how many boxes that you will receive. It's a great confirmation step to not actually jump off, or you can turn off this feature where you acknowledge that, for example, I received 7 cartons and the PO was 7 cartons, right? So this is very useful in terms of the gate entry, keeping track of the vehicles, the plate numbers, the remarks, having some attachments, some pictures, and so on and so forth. In some use cases, this will be disabled just for the speed of operations. In some cases, this is gonna be a required step for every inbound that you have. Now, obviously, for the inwarding, do you inward stock transfer orders or is it automatically transferred? We do need to enable this so you can inbound even stock orders, as you do have multiple inbounds, either reverse shipment, return orders, new inbound, or stock transfers into your warehouse. Now, do you want to enable purchase order for that specific location or not? So some locations would only allow stock transfers. Some other locations would allow any inbound from a supplier or vendor, right? Now, in some cases, you would be accepting items from a vendor or a manufacturer, and you want to have some specific acceptable shelf life for these items, right? So you can specify each SKU with the acceptable shelf life that should be there before you actually inbound them in your specific warehouse. So this is something that you can enable accordingly. Now, there's one thing that's sometimes useful and sometimes depends on really your case, is do you allow over receiving? So over receiving, we're talking about you have a PO for 5 items with 100 each. What if you receive 200 from one SKU? Would you allow this receival or not? Or from these 5, you received 6 or 7 SKUs. So 2 SKUs, they were out of the scope of the PO. In some cases, you'd allow it. In some other cases, you won't, especially if you're a fulfillment center. You want to know exactly what you're receiving, and you want to receive whatever the client has promised you, and vice versa with suppliers and brands. Now, we do have a beautiful system. I call it the blockchain methodology for barcoding the item. So whenever you have an item, each item can be serialized. Each item can be unique. Now, obviously, you have SKU code, you have the details, descriptions, and so on, but each single item that I bring into my warehouse can have a specific serial code. So this serial code can show me the exact log of actions and activities throughout the warehouse up to the end consumer. This is very useful whenever you have non-serialized item, but you want to serialize them. And even for serialized item, just like iPhones and electronics, you can capture those serial numbers and be able to track whoever end consumer that took this order and which serial code that was used in that case. All right. Now we complete the inbound kind of operation, which is mainly how you can get to the level of accuracy. You need to always calculate and qualify and QC the in and the out and all the operations in between. So if you have full control to anything that's going inside your warehouse or inside your retail store or inside your dark store and everything that goes outside, this is where you can manage whatever that's inside the warehouse with very, very high accuracy. And this is what we allow the different brands and companies and enterprises to be able to do so. Now, in terms of picking, this is very, very unique to each use case. So for example, if I have 2 aisles, okay, 2 aisles, aisle 1 and aisle 2, I may be able to do multi-order picking, right? So what does multi-order mean? So imagine I'm in, let's say, one of the supermarkets or grocery stores, and they have a list. Okay, and my wife gave me this list to go and grab the items and fulfill the items. So what I will do, usually, I'll go to each section which has the items that I need. So we have produce and fresh vegetables, we have cheese and poultry and meat. We do have, let's say, cleaning and refrigerated items and canned food. So each of the zone would be more or less a segregated list for that specific list or item. Okay, I want you to imagine now, you go into this grocery store and you have this list. You'll follow this methodology. What if you have 5 or 10 different orders and the large lists of these different orders? How will you manage your time? So it would take a lot of computational power for your brain to really manage, where should I go first? What should I do now? How many items should I pick from here? So this is where the picking app that we have developed to capture the multiple orders that are very similar to each other, either first in, first out, to help every picker to go to the exact location and pick the right items in the right sequence in the most efficient manner. So rather than picking 1 order per cycle. You can pick 10 orders, 9 orders, 2 orders, 3 orders. It depends obviously on the size of the SKUs. It depends on the zones and the number of zones and the let's say the expansion of the warehouse. And this is where single order picking may happen is, for example, you have an order with over 40 items. I can't really multi-pick a 40 item order. This is an order that's already has a multi-order kind of number of items. So in this case, you can automatically remember the order tags that I talked about in the beginning. You can specify if the order has more than 30 items, unique items, you can specify this tag and automatically choose this tag to be under the single order picking. Now we do have an app, which is the Picker Plus. You can go over on our YouTube channel and you can see the different operational steps that we can do. Is you can select those orders and start picking them up by the picker throughout the day. Now, the multi-order is very similar to single order. However, you have multiple orders that you can pick at the same time, right? So this is more or less an efficient way. We do have 2 types of segregation. Either you have complete segregation. So for example, the cart is cut into, let's say, 4 kind of bins, or non-segregated. So you collect all the items and then you segregate them into a consolidation area or a specific workstation for packing. Now, this is also including the zone-based picking. So some warehouses are too huge. You can't really have one person that would collect all the different orders. You'd have maybe 3 zones, and each zone is the responsibility of 1 picker. And this picker would start picking and split it. We'll split the items based on zones and based on eyes on locations. And they'll start picking those orders, those partial orders in some cases, and consolidate them into a specific location where you can collect all the different items in different zones under one place. And that place could go to the packing area. And once it goes to the packing area, there's another kind of operational model that we have here, which is the packing configuration. Now, you can go in very, very down details in terms of, do you want to scan the location? Usually, this is a very good practice for a warehouse to always have the right cycle count whenever you have any inventory operations. You want to allow manual barcode typing. So, for example, if there is a damage in the barcode, you can allow the person to manually enter the barcode typing. Now, allow manual quantity entry. Usually in picking, it's best to do scanning unless you work with a huge amount of SKUs and quantities in each order, where you can allow such quantity entry. Bin barcode scan, if you have bins and you want to scan those bins whenever the person or the picker actually places the item in the bin or whatever cart operation, or even location-based operation, you can always scan the bin to specify the bins. For example, each location, imagine you're in the grocery store, each location can have 4 bins, right? So bin is like the least or the smallest kind of unit that you can track today with Omniful. Now we also have the scheduled order configuration, which will help you to start managing and picking the order before delivery slot or picking kind of schedule. This will help you always focus on what's just-in-time operation rather than just picking and having a stale operation throughout the day. Now we do have more or less on the packing configuration, some quality checks, quality entry, and this is very amazing, which I really love it. So whenever you're in a workstation, imagine you're like in a store and you see this POS machine, right? So once they scan the final barcode of the order, automatically the packing is completed. So you switch the order status to completed and fulfilled. And at the same time, it prints the airway bill kind of shipping label, depending on the automation rules that you have developed for the shipping apps. So kind of 2 to 3 steps done in a single of a second, right? In less than seconds, actually. So this reduces any errors, this reduces any type of latency and increases the speed for overall fulfillment kind of situation. So especially in peak seasons, this is very, very, very important. Accuracy, speed. Now, you can get accuracy, but slow. But speed and accuracy is very hard to get. This is where Omniful plays the game. So speed and accuracy is our game today. Now, obviously, you have cycle count. So this is something that you can do even on a weekly basis. You can specify locations, and you won't stop really operations. The operations can go, and once the picker is there, they can start blind counting those items from the different shelves and aisles. Now, you can allow specific RBAs, rule-based kind of access for adjusting the configuration of the inventory and the put-away configuration whenever you have an inbound or reverse shipment to place them into that specific location. So this is basically how you can manage the different hubs in terms of configuration. And in terms of the picking operation, it's very, very different for every warehouse and location. From retail, it's very simple. It's like literally 2 clicks. One click, you see the items, you scan them, and then you fulfill the order. In warehouses, it could be multiple kind of let's say steps in terms of picking, zoning, consolidation. Dark stores can be very quick. The picking and packing is combined. So basically it's one step. Whenever you have an order, automatically you go to the location, scan the item, the number of quantities, put them in a bag, seal the bag, you're done, right? And the shipping provider or your fleet driver was called across before even starting the order to being fulfilled. All right, so this is mainly the warehouse operations, and obviously you'll have full details and analysis based on the different sellers. So sellers in our system either could be brands or clients, right? If you're a group company, you can have multiple, let's say, brands and owners of stock, basically, okay? Or you have multiple clients who you want to manage them under one Omniful account. All right. Now we also obviously have the SKUs, the inventory, the different types of SKUs, and so on and so forth, which goes down into deep details where we can jump into YouTube video or just book us a demo and we can showcase what are the different SKU levels. So you have variable SKUs, you have kits, and so on, which is very, very useful when it comes to managing your operations today in very simple manner.
Amazing. So we have talked about like the order management and the warehouses. How can we exactly define and orchestrate each like unique way of operating? But what about especially delivery? And when we talk about like, if we go quickly through how at peak seasons we can handle, and especially the logistics companies and 3PLs can handle the huge amount of deliveries that should happen. And we go through also the last part of the webinar into how to have a truly full omni-channel experience.
Absolutely, yes. And it's always a hassle. Yes, we fulfilled the order. Finally, we fulfilled it in a very accurate and efficient way. We have all the orders in one place, and the fulfillment was super clean, easy, seamless. Okay, what about the delivery, right? It's something that you really can't control in terms of traffic, in terms of routes, optimization, the different trips. Customers are delayed, and so on and so forth. A lot of hassle that goes into running a shipping company with the right optimization, right? And this is where some KPIs actually show up, right? So drivers are repeating different routes. There's a lot of delays in traffic. There's no accurate ETAs for customers. You're just mixing, same day delivery with next day. You don't have really a very simple kind of dynamic where you can really manage a huge transportation fleet or even your brand kind of fleet under a specific operational model. At the same time, talking about the TMS and last mile, we're talking also about automating the shipping kind of scenario for every order. Either that's an error bill that was generated by your marketplace, or an error bill can be generated by the shipping partner or the specific account that you have integrated to Omniful and your TMS. Even sometimes shipping companies will be utilizing our TMS solely so they can have the driver app and manage different shipments through APIs and connecting it and integrating it with different kind of channels through the API documentation. So you have a plug and play kind of solution where you can jump in, get out of system and start your shipping company or just enhance the operations when it comes to shipping with Omniful. All right, so very simply, we'll go over a very quick high overview in terms of what to expect in our TMS. So first of all, you want to manage your assets, right? So first, we'll be adding the vehicles. So vehicles can be bikes, cars, vans, trucks, and you can add fleets. Fleets could be especially either in-house, third party, and you can specify specific delivery zones, right? We've talked about serving zones and delivery zones for hubs. Delivery zones for TMS is a bit different. It could be very similar in nature if there is a sorting hub that comes into play, but it's a bit different to be able to split specific geographical areas into different fleets. So you can have north of Riyadh fleet, south of Riyadh, center Riyadh, and so on and so forth. You can obviously draw them in a map, and you can specify a pinpoint location and an ETA around it, and so on and so forth. Now, after you add the vehicles and fleets, you'll be adding your different drivers, and you can keep the record of each driver for licenses. Let me actually just go very quickly here. So you can add either their in-house or a third party. You can assign the vehicle and the fleet after the step, add all the details, the documentation, so you can always have this in place. And you can add a very nice profile photo so you can visually manage every driver as a driver supervisor or a transportation or last mile kind of logistics supervisor. So those are the fleet drivers and vehicles. And obviously for vehicles, you want to maintain those vehicles to reduce the cost and make sure that your assets are making you more money every day. This is where you can add different reminders for oil changes. You can do it based on specific odometer kind of metric or specific time-bound operation or both, right? So oil changes, either it's like less than over 5,000 or over 3 months, whatever comes first. So this is basically how everything can be done under one place. So reminding yourself for all the maintenance kind of expenses to go and do them. And obviously you can mark them as complete. Right. Now, after you do that, you'll be adding your different profiles and sellers, right? So this is basically either your accounts, your different companies and clients, or the profile of your current fleet. From there, you can add specific hubs, and those hubs are the pickup locations where you can create them through API automatically once an order comes in, or you can create them on basis if you have recurring kind of pickups for different customers and clients, even including the locations that you have for your specific hubs today. Right. Now, we do have some specific configurations here. So we're talking about sorting hubs. Now, sorting hubs for the let's say, shipping company experts, sorting hubs are areas where you store packages to consolidate them and just ship them to the specific location that they're responsible of. So you can have a Riyadh sorting hub, Jeddah sorting hub, the MAM sorting hub, Dubai sorting hub. So each sorting hub would be a collection of the packages from all across the world into one place, and the last mile could be done directly from the sorting hub. Now, you can add delivery zones, very simple delivery zones drawn on the map, ETA base, and so on. And obviously you have the ledger for the transactions and so on. All right, now this is more going into details in terms of the app configuration for the delivery. So you can specify either enabling specific features for proof of delivery, pickup, and so on and so forth. And very quickly, if you go and jump directly to the triggers and automation rules, this is where whenever shipments you have and whenever shipments your system was created through the different integrations or through your own kind of co-working space, this is where you can create triggers, and we can jump into triggers. We do have a couple of YouTube videos about that in terms of how you can select the triggers based on what's suitable for your current operations. And obviously you can have multiple triggers for different kind of situations. And those triggers is, for example, if I have 20 shipments, create a trip for me. And this trip will be optimized based on the first in, first out and the locations from the hub up to the final point, could be including the traffic too.
Amazing. Let's go. I want you to take us through if you can go on the slides, also the next one. I want you to talk to us about how can we manage the peak seasonality and to show us in graph how things works usually, and to have as a full omni-channel experience how in peak seasons everything goes.
Absolutely. I like this diagram as it showcases the supply chain, right? So basically you have the different sales channels, either manual orders or through different integrations. So this, you've unified it into one place rather than having 20, you'll have one single dashboard, just showcasing all the different orders. So imagine this was a bottleneck right here. So every transition node was a bottleneck. It's something that's very tight. If we don't have a solution, it will be, with peak seasons, just very dense, and you won't be able to continue moving forward. So this was a bottleneck, and we solved it with one unified order management system, the hub routing and automation, and so on. This was a bottleneck in terms of where should I go in terms of assigning the order, either to warehouses, dark stores, or branches. Even if you have one branch or one warehouse, once you assign it, how can I manage the operations inside this warehouse? So imagine every single thread into the supply chain, right? Those different webs that we have in terms of kind of order, you'd have bottlenecks where could be faced with data issues, technical issues, and even operational kind of configuration issues. So we've solved this, we've solved the assignment, we've solved the warehousing with different kind of configurations, even very uniquely to be designed based on the warehouse kind of size and so on. And also, we've solved the easiness of understanding the accuracy of your retail, even connecting to your POS, or even providing you the right POS to have this omni-channel experience where someone can order online, pick from the store, return from the store, and so on and so forth. And even the TMS to connect the different warehouses and assets, and the TMS for finally getting to your final consumer or your different kind of shipping apps and shipping partners that you have today.
Amazing. So this is how a business can handle all operations under one platform to have control over peak seasonality, to reduce errors and to have full visibility. So this is how you can win in peak seasons. Is it true?
Yeah.
More.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always either you're kind of competing on a brand level, you have specific kind of IP, you have a very unique kind of product, or you're also your experience gets companies and people back again, right? So your experience really matters when it comes to operation, your cost, your profit, so on and so forth. So yeah, it's survival of the fittest. Who's the strongest in operation? Who's going to be keeping on for generations down the line?
Amazing. So due time, I would like to take your questions. If anyone have any questions, please do so. And this webinar, by the way, it will be recorded and it will be sent to you all through email. So you will have the ability to rewatch it. And if you have any other questions also, you can always reach us anytime. And you can always talk to Mr. Obaida and the team. So yeah, we have, we have a question. Let me see. It says from Wadi Al-Nawar. When and how can I book a one-on-one demo, Mr. Obaida? How can someone book a demo with you, Mr. Obaida?
I'm a bit busy today, but obviously you're more than welcome anytime to open our website and go directly to select the specific time. You can actually fill out the form and one of our team members will go and reach out to you. We'll get the white glove approach. We want to make sure that we understand your pain and your challenge to be able to say, yes, Omniful solves that pain. So you're welcome anytime.
Amazing. And we will also send you a demo, or we'll send you to book a demo with us. And thank you, Mr. Wadi, I believe. Any other questions? So I believe this is it, Mr. Obaida. But let's wait like 1 minute. And yeah, also, just notification, just like to notify you that we also have, like after 3 minutes, actually, the Arabic version of the webinar will go also about how can you take control over peak seasonality and operations fully. So I believe this is it. Thank you all for attending. It's highly appreciated to attend these types of webinars with Omniful, and hopefully we provide you always a good intel and good informative knowledge about operations and about how can you exceed and succeed as a business owner in your operations. So thank you all, and thank you, Mr. Obaida, for being the guests here in this webinar. I hope يعني it's not the last with you especially, and more to come inshallah.
Yeah. See you all. Assalamu alaikum.